Hello, everyone. A very good morning to all of you. Good noon. If let's say some of you woke up early today, for me it's still relatively morning. So, how are you all? How is the prep going? I'm sure you are in the last leg of preparation for Mhcet, right? So, that's why some practice sessions for you. Now, let's see if I'm visible, audible to everybody. Okay. Waiting for your response. Let me refresh my screen as well. Okay, perfect. I can see myself. Just give me a hi, hello, so that I know that you're there. Right, so some of you told me last time that verbal reasoning was posing a bit of a challenge for you and you wanted more questions related to that. So that's what I've brought today. We'll talk about strong weak arguments, course of action, then we'll discuss a bit of critical reasoning here and there and cause and effect, right? So that's the agenda for today. And all right, I cannot see some highs and hellos in the chat box. Right. I am waiting for them to begin. Okay. So, should we begin with questions, right? And then through the question, I'll talk about the concept, right? So, first, let's do a question and then let's talk about the concept behind it. Does that work? Give me a hi, hello, come on, come on. Okay, good noon, Suryansh. Thank you, thank you. So, this assures me that I am indeed visible, audible, and everything. Right. Okay. So, let us begin with a question. I have not put a timer here because some of you may find the reading part a bit, slow. Some of you may be a bit slow in reading. That's why I've not put a timer. But of course, our aim in the exam should be that we attempt questions such as strong, weak argument in about, let's say, 40-45 seconds, not more than that. Right? That should be our aim. Okay, so let's see the first question for the day. You have a statement, you have you have four arguments, and these are your five options. The exam does not have any negative marking, so I want all of you to respond. Okay, and don't compare these arguments. Don't compare, let's say, one with the other. Don't do that. So attempt and tell me what the answer should be. Yes. Benton has already answered. What about others? I see 9 students currently live, right? So I want 9 responses, nothing less. Suryansh also says A. Okay. All right. Others? Okay. I need one more response. Let's see what you say. I will not proceed. Okay. Ruhi is saying C. Okay. Ruhi is my niece's name as well. Right. So A, C. Okay. Those are right. They are opposite responses. So some of you are saying 1 and 3, and some of you are saying 2 and 4. Okay. So in statement argument questions, first of all, reading and comprehending the problem correctly is very important, right? So, what is the problem? Should public transport fares be reduced? And why are we reducing them? See the goal. The goal here is to encourage its use. That's the goal. That's why we are reducing them. So now, two is a very interesting argument because when you read it, you feel, oh yes, this makes sense that it will help low income groups who depend on public transport daily. But uh, this is a financial argument that yes, low fares will help them. But does it point to how it will encourage the use of public transport by these low income groups? This is just saying that it will financially help them. So, while appealing that okay, yes, it's an important concern, helping low income groups. However, it does not really address this, that how will it encourage the use of public transport, and that is why 2 here becomes a weak argument, not a strong argument. Is this clear? Yes. So 2 is eliminated, right? 2 is weak, and that's why E is also eliminated, right? All are strong. Now let's have a look at the fourth one. It says no. No, public transport fares should not be reduced to encourage its use, because it says people will use public transport only if it is efficient, not just because it is cheaper. So, who is saying here, is it mentioned anywhere that public transport is not efficient? So, see, even if it is one of the reasons, even if cheaper public transport is one of the reasons that can encourage the use of public transport, then by all means it makes sense to reduce public transport fares, isn't it? So, saying this that people will use it only if it is efficient, not just because it is cheaper. So, who has told us? This information is not given to us. No, maybe they are already efficient, and this will really help in that case. So, this argument becomes weak because it assumes that currently probably they are not efficient, right? And it is kind of assuming that just this is going to help. This, even though it is one of the reasons, is not perhaps going to help. So that's what makes it weak. Also notice that this is slightly, the tone of this sentence is slightly in the nature of a judgment. People will use it only if it is efficient, not just because it is cheaper. So that is what makes 4 weak. Yes, 4 is vague because efficiency is not something that has been given to us. It is not mentioned what is the current state of efficiency here. So I can't assume on my own. Remember, don't assume things on your own in these questions. Very important. Okay, so 2nd and 4 are eliminated. 1 and 3 are indeed strong, right? Let's discuss why. Because this is very clearly addressing both these aspects, that yes, they should be reduced because that will make public transport more affordable. And how will it encourage the use? It will lead to reduced traffic congestion. So that means when I'm saying leading to reduced traffic congestion, that means people are going to use it, right? That is when traffic congestion will reduce, when more and more people use public transport. So this is addressing the second part as well. That's why it is strong. Third, dekhte hain aap. No, reduced fares will lead to financial losses and poor maintenance of transport services. So, if let's say the transport services are poorly maintained, then it is likely that people won't use them. Yeah? So, financial loss is an important concern, and saying that it will lead to poor maintenance is also kind of addressing this, that means that people might not really use it if they are poorly maintained. So 3 is again an important concern, something that is not desirable, financial losses for transport services, and that is why 1 and 3 are strong. I hope this makes sense. Yes, so we should know the reason behind why something is strong, why an argument is strong, why it is weak. And these are the pointers that you should keep in mind. Always see that whatever argument is given to you, whatever reasons it gives you, because is it related to the problem, the question that is given to you, the statement that is given to you in the beginning? It has to be. Then it should address the problem. I am not saying that it should completely solve this question, solve this problem, right? No, but it should at least address it, right? This is again important, that it should be something that is humanly possible, right? It should say something that is humanly possible to implement. Yeah, practical hona chahiye, feasible hona chahiye. It should not be in the nature of a judgment. लॉजिकल बात बोलनी चाहिए, जो भी रीज़न होनी चाहिए बिकॉज के बाद वो जजमेंट ओपिनियनेटेड नहीं होना चाहिए. then this is something that we have discussed, an important concern and something that is desirable, right? So here it is desirable to, reduce traffic congestion, to make something more affordable for people. ऑल्सो दिस वी सॉ फोर्थ में हमें अपने आप से कुछ अज्यूम नहीं करना है, राइट? जब हमें कुछ नई इन्फॉर्मेशन गिवन, न्यू कोई भी इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं गिवन है, दैट्स व्हाट आई मीन टू से, व्हेन द इन्फॉर्मेशन इज नॉट गिवन टू अस. एंड डोंट कंपेयर द आर्ग्यूमेंट्स विद ईच अदर. स्टूडेंट्स स्टार्ट डूइंग दिस, ओ सेकंड बेटर है तो सेकंड स्ट्रॉन्ग है, वन वीक है. डोंट कंपेयर, राइट? ओके, so it says wouldn't 3 weaken it? Why? So this is, we are not strengthening weakening arguments, we are identifying which argument is a strong argument, that means in favor of doing this, which argument is a weak argument, that means it does not really make a strong case for doing this. That's what we are doing. Okay, so 3 रूही is a strong argument because आप अगर कुछ implement कर रहे हो एंड उससे ट्रांसपोर्ट सर्विसेज को ही लॉसेज हो रहे हैं, राइट? बिकॉज ऑफ विच दे आर नॉट इवन एबल टू मेंटेन the transport services, then it's likely that it will not even encourage its use, right? And you would not want to, you would not want them to incur financial losses as well. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Okay, all right, look at another question. Let's see what you say. Okay, Benton has answered the fastest, followed by Suryansh. What about others? Speed matters, no, in this exam. Ruhi also says C. Okay. Tejas says C. So I'm currently looking at a unanimous C here. Anybody who feels differently, anybody who feels B should be the answer, 4 is not really that strong. Okay, perfect. All of you have answered correctly. Those who have answered C, 3 and 4. Now, should there be a complete ban on private? See, here, this is very important to read, yeah, and process. Complete ban की बात हो रही है, ये extreme चीज़ है, and only extreme reasons are going to justify it, no? Right? So, a complete ban is justified when something is severely harming a lot of population or all the population concerned, then a complete ban is justified, right? Now, first says yes. Now see, here also we are talking about financial burden. In the previous question, I told you, oh, this is a strong argument because this is not desirable. Now, you can argue, ma'am, पिछले question में तो आपने कहा था कि वो strong थी, ये क्यों weak हो गई? Because this is talking about a complete ban. And tuitions are not compulsory, no? So if it is putting an additional financial burden on parents, they can choose not to send their wards to private tuitions. That choice is available to them. Banning it is not justified because of this, right? So your answer is, there is no one size fits all answer in this question, right? In these questions, हमें देखना हमारी statement क्या कह रही है. तो 1 नहीं हो सकता आंसर, ठीक है? अब 1 आंसर नहीं है, ठीक है? अभी और कोई एलिमिनेट नहीं हुई. Second says, yes, they reduce students' ability to study independently. Again, if they are doing it, the student can always opt to not to go for tuition classes, right? So even 2 is not strong. 3 says, no, many students rely on private tuitions to clarify doubts that schools do not address effectively. That means it becomes necessary for them, to have a tuition, because if school is not addressing your queries, you need something that can address your queries. So this is an important concern. Then it is desirable to have tuition classes. Okay. 4 says, no, private tuitions provide employment opportunities for many educated individuals. So this is again something that is desirable, to have employment in the economy. So 3 and 4 are the ones that are strong. And use options. I think if you used options, आपको इसमें से एक भी अगर let's say you feel fourth is strong, then you have pretty much narrowed your options down, right? You have eliminated A, B, D and C and E बचा है. Yes, in fact E भी नहीं बचा. No, ये हमें evaluate करना पड़ेगा that 3 भी strong है कि नहीं. So use options, eliminate. Right? I'm sure you're already doing that. You've practiced enough questions. Okay. Another question for you. Strong weak argument. I thought to practice more questions of this type. Yes. Okay. Benton has answered the fastest, followed by Tejas. What about others? What do Suryansh and Ruhi say? And what do the others say? Yes. Krishna says A. Okay. No negative marking, remember? So always mark something. Yeah. And you can always say something, say anything here in the chat box in terms of options. Yeah. कुछ भी लिख दो अगर नहीं समझ भी आ रहा है तो. Okay. Only argument 1 is strong. That's what you're saying, and you're absolutely correct. Okay, now you tell me why you eliminated second, the second option, the second argument. Why do you feel it is weak? Yes, in strong weak arguments, it's very very important that you don't have to overthink. So this used to especially happen with me, when I taught law students. They are in a habit of reasoning. That's something that's encouraged a lot. So they also have these questions and they would start arguing with the argument. They would be like, पर इंडिया में तो ऐसा नहीं होता, so they would start, narrowing down the scenario to India sometimes. Sometimes they would expand it to the entire world and they would say, ये तो problem है ही नहीं, public में तो already banned है smoking. So you don't have to reason, I mean, you don't have to argue with the argument. You have to just think, अच्छा अगर ये given बात true है तो क्या ये strong enough है to justify this? अगर ये भी true है तो क्या ये strong enough है in justifying this? Yeah. So that's what you have to think. And each and every word of the statement is very important. Okay? Absolutely, Benton. Excellent. So, see, access information. We are talking about social media, not the entire internet here. Yeah? And social media, I mean, this is my opinion, should anyway not be used to access information. It's not a primary source for accessing information, right? It's a source to connect with people. So, that's why 2 does not make sense. Yeah, such a restriction violates children's rights to freely express themselves and access information. This bit was a very, very strong reason why you should have eliminated 2. And yes, you did. Excellent. Good. Okay, so this was about strong, weak arguments, right? If you have any query in this or in the questions that we have done, I'm sure you don't because a lot of you answered correctly, then you can always ask me. हमारे पास है time. ठीक है? Right now, let's move to another question type. Course of action. Again, you're familiar with this. These questions were asked last year, right? So a statement is given to you. You have to tell me which of the following courses of action or or a combination logically follows. Tell me. I hope all the options are visible to you. The last one is none of these. Option E. Okay. Let's see what you say. Easy question. Yeah. I want more responses. इतने easy questions हैं तो. Good, Suryansh, good. So, yes, suspected. Just because they're suspected, you can't arrest all of them, right? Extreme measure. Course of action, unless and until the situation is extreme, your course of action cannot be extreme, right? So, 2 does not follow. Yeah? And that eliminates so many options right away. So, it's only 1 and 3. They make sense. Yeah, that you are saying that government should increase public awareness about online security and safe internet practices. So always a good move whenever there is a problem. Then so that's because see, that means that आपका concept clear है बेंटन, पर speed में जब हमारा time constraint आ जाता है ना, that's when we sometimes get confused. राइट बिकॉज हम थोड़ा सा पैनिक ही होते हैं उस टाइम पे. सो दैट मीन्स प्रैक्टिस थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम है. प्रैक्टिस विद इन अ टाइम कॉन्स्टेंट. ओके, इट क्लियरली शोज कि कॉन्सेप्ट्स आपके ठीक हैं. मैं बिल्कुल MHCT लेवल के ही क्वेश्चंस लेके आई हूँ. बहुत ज़्यादा डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चंस नहीं आते हैं MHCT में. ओके, Alright, so in course of action, we have to pay attention to the fact that any course of action has to again address the problem, right? Just like strong, weak arguments. Strong arguments address the problem. Similarly, course of action has to address the problem. Address का मतलब ये नहीं होता completely solve कर दे, but at least address करे, right? It should not target tangential problems. Let's say if I'm talking about cyber security, cyber crime here, and there is a course of action that talks about the misuse of big data. So this is that we need to prevent the misuse of big data. Now this is a tangential problem, yeah, that it is trying to solve. तो वो course of action of course नहीं होगा. Again, it should be an implementable and humanly possible solution. Yeah, so if I tell you that pollution on earth has increased and then you suggest a course of action saying, oh, let's go and live on Mars, that's not humanly possible right now. Yeah, and at least not for the masses. So feasible होना चाहिए, practical होना चाहिए. एक्सट्रीम स्टेप्स, बीटिंग, थ्रैशिंग, किलिंग, ऑफ कोर्स ये आपको भी पता है. ये मत मार्क करके आना एग्जाम में, इससे बहुत ज़्यादा जज करने लगेंगे आपको एग्जामिनेशन अथॉरिटीज़. ठीक है, डोंट टेक एनी अजम्पशंस. जो इन्फॉर्मेशन गिवन है दैट इज इट. यू कांट अज्यूम एनीथिंग अबाउट द रेस्ट, राइट? डोंट ट्राई टू फिल इन द गैप्स. And always it should be ethical. Whatever you are choosing, that option has to be ethical. Okay, it cannot be something unethical, right? So again, these things yes, they're on the same level as snap. Absolutely. Chalo, then let's look at a question. The second point, yes, sure. So tangential problems are basically something that is not the main concern of my statement. Okay, but something, let's say, that could be a secondary concern. For example, I'll give you an example. So if, let's say, I give you a problem that students in rural areas are not able to commute to their schools or colleges because of a lack of transportation services. Right, now you give the solution that transportation services in rural areas should be made free. But problem ये नहीं थी वो महंगी हैं. Problem was not this, no, that they are expensive. The problem is that they are not there. They are not there in sufficient amount, sufficient number, right? So you are addressing a tangential problem that make them free. It's not addressing the primary problem, which is कि वो adequate number में नहीं है, adequate amount में नहीं है. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've got C, two C's. What do others say? So Benton and Prajwal, fastest fingers first जीत गए हैं. बाकी और कोई? Okay, Suryansh says C. All right. Only 2 and 3 follow. So 3 follows. Yes. Those who saying C. 3 follows. Where is it saying that it is one internet service provider who's responsible for this poor internet connectivity? Yes. Does it say this? So we are just saying that a large number of complaints have been received about poor internet connectivity in residential area, in residential areas. So internet connectivity poor है residential areas में. So this could be because there are no these optic fibers, or there are very few optic fibers that are present in those urban areas, in those residential areas. Yeah. Nobody has said that it is because of, let's say, some internet providers. So 3 does not follow. Okay. It is only 2 that follows. This I cannot assume on my own that there is some service provider who is responsible for this poor internet connectivity. I hope this makes sense. One, I'm sure you would be able to eliminate. They should be penalized for providing substandard services. Again, extreme. मुझे नहीं पता कि क्यों है ये problem. Maybe the telecom companies are not even responsible for it. Okay. So B is the answer here. So again, don't assume things. जब हमें सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स के बारे में कुछ नहीं दिया हुआ यहाँ पर, तो हम अपने आप से कुछ अज्यूम नहीं करेंगे. ठीक है. Okay. Another question, course of action. बताओ बताओ. Okay, Suryansh says B. Krishna says B. All right. Others. Just 2 students. Although I'm angry that not that very few of you are answering, but yes, because the answers are correct, I'm also happy. So it's a balance. Right. B is the answer. Only 2 follows. I am very happy that nobody marked D here, which is only 2 and 3 follow. Right. Because is it something that's very practical? Also, is it something that is that should be the course of action for a problem that is about traffic on roads? Yes. Departure and arrival of flights, that is dependent on so many factors, right? They have their own schedule. right? And then it's dependent on air traffic, weather conditions. Just because there is congestion on a particular road, right, or on some roads, you can't change the departure and arrival of flights. You can't change that schedule. Yes. So 3, it looks appealing, but it's not very practical. Okay. And that is why it does not follow. This is harsh, this is extreme, that you don't allow them to fly on those roads that are connecting the city and airport. And again, it's not very practical. How will you stop them? Like, it will require a lot of workforce to just stop vehicles, to check where they are going. So it is only 2 that follows, and I'm happy that a lot of you said B. Make sense? Any queries? Okay, then. Another question type that was asked last year, assertion reason, and it is asked frequently in Mhcet. So let's check a bit of your GK right now. Tell me, what should be the answer here? Question type nahi. Okay. Yes. Definitely. What we have to do in this, I didn't realize. So see this. In these questions, 2 statements are given to you. The first statement, assertion means when you are saying something, right? It's simply a statement. So this is something that is given to you. You have to first verify whether this is true or false. So these are a bit dependent on your general knowledge, right? So for example, if this is true, right, then option D is eliminated, option E is eliminated right away. Then you read this and again you verify whether this is true or not. So look at it as a statement right now. This is statement 2, let's say. You verify whether this is true or false. So let's say this is also true. Then even this option is eliminated. Now you have to check whether there is a cause effect relationship between the two. That means not exactly cause effect, I would say, that is it a reason? Is 2 a reason for 1? Is statement 2 a reason behind statement 1? Is it explaining it correctly or not? Right? So that's what you have to check. So tell me something now. Let's say you don't know whether this is true or false, you don't know, but अभी इनको रीड करके बताओ, ऐसा लग रहा है कि इसमें रीजन और उसका रिलेशनशिप है, दैट दिस सेकंड इज एक्सप्लेनिंग द फर्स्ट, इवन इफ यू डोंट नो वेदर इंडिविजुअली दे आर ट्रू और फॉल्स. नहीं है, राइट? सो दिस इज वॉट यू हैव टू चेक. सो एज द फाइनल स्टेप यू चेक दिस. सो नाउ यू नो दैट ए तो आंसर नहीं है बिल्कुल भी. या सो इट नाउ comes down to your GK. What you will say. What do you say in this question? What's the answer? Is the answer C? A is true but R is false. Yes, excellent. So FIFA 2026 will be hosted jointly by US, Canada and Mexico, right? There are 16 cities in these 3 countries where this will happen. But this is false. All the best football players would be North American residents by 2026. No, not at all. Right? So, A is true, but R is false. And of course, ये correct explanation तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं था. So this is what you have to do in assertion reason questions. A lot of time they check your general knowledge, especially the assertion bit. And sometimes, these could be science-based questions. So I've got some of them, 2 of them as well. I'll explain when they come. देखो, अच्छा ये वाला बताओ फर्स्ट, अगेन अ जीके बेस्ड थिंग. Ruhi says B. Others, are others googling when Earth Day is celebrated? होता नहीं, लाइट्स आउट होते हैं उस दिन फॉर सम टाइम. या सो इट इज सेलिब्रेटेड ऑन April 22, not 10. That means A is false. So I have now, made your job easier. Yes. It sometimes becomes dependent on GK Benton. So yes, you may get them incorrect if, let's say, you don't know this, right? So the ones that are based on science, they test your school knowledge. So they are more interesting. I'll come to them. Yes, this is a tricky question type, and we can't do much about it. So if, let's say, we have prepared for other exams where GK is important, so for instance this, if you're preparing for that, then and you have read enough of GK, then the probability of getting them right increases. Okay. But it's not that they'll always test your GK. हमेशा ऐसा हो, ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है, right? Sometimes both of these statements are very common knowledge. That is also the case. In that case, they are just testing your ability to form a connection of assertion reason. कि आपको reason आपको समझ में आ रहा है कि वो reason है या नहीं है, right? We'll see. है ऐसा एक question. So in this, A is false, but R is actually true. Okay. So the Earth Day. The US is actually one of the largest consumers of resources in the world, right? So there was this time in the 1970s when there were a lot of oil spills that were happening, and US was consuming products like anything. So some senators decided that we really need an environment movement right now, and therefore they started some measures, right? Parliamentary measures हुए, activism हुआ इसके regarding. और April 22 in 1970, this was a major milestone wherein there were people on the streets, right, talking about the environment, spreading awareness, and that is why April 22 is celebrated as Earth Day. So while अगर ये सही होता तो ये करेक्ट एक्सप्लेनेशन होता, राइट? इफ दिस वर April 22, then this is actually a good explanation of the assertion. But because this is false, we have to mark D. A is false, R is true. Okay. All right. Let's look at that science-based thing that I was talking about. Yes. Let's see what you say. Okay. Krishna and Prajwal, see, you find answering this easier, right? You're answering faster, I can see, because this is something that you have studied, you've read about it in school. So such questions are also asked, right? Suryan says B. Both are true, but R is not the correct explanation. R is actually the correct explanation, Suryansh. Light jaldi travel करती है. Light travels faster than sound. So that is why you see the lightning first and you hear the sound later. Okay? So A is our answer. Okay? This is the correct explanation. All right then. The next question, again science based. That's okay. Okay, A, B, all right. B, B, okay. So Benton, would you like to revise your answer? See, individually, this is true. Excessive intake, this is also true, right? But, so that means now we come to this category. We now come to this category. Is this an explanation that because, now see, add the word because here. Because excessive intake of carbohydrates cause obesity, that is why, can I say that they provide energy to the body? This does not make sense at all. Okay, as a reason explanation kind of a thing. So That's why our answer is B and not A. Right? So these kinds of questions are also asked. It's not always about Earth Day, or it's not always about your events that have happened in the past or that are going to happen in the future. ठीक है? All right. Let's see another question type, cause effect. Okay, so in this question type, two statements are given to you. You have to see whether there exists a direct cause effect relationship between the two or not. The options here are very important. They are not as simple as simply 2 is the cause, 1 is the effect, 1 is the cause, 2 is the effect. ऐसा होता तो थोड़ा सा सिंपलर होता ना क्वेश्चन टाइप, बट देर आर अदर ऑप्शंस एज वेल. Both statements 1 and 2 are in the nature of effect of some independent causes. कि दोनों के अपने कुछ अलग अलग causes हैं, right? Both are themselves independent causes. ये statements कुछ और cause कर रही हैं. Basically इनके दोनों के अलग अलग कुछ effects होंगे, right? Both are effects of a common cause. That means ये दोनों क्या हैं, ये in the nature of effects है और इन दोनों का ही एक कॉमन कॉज हो सकता है. ओके, एंड बोथ ऑफ दीज आर द इफेक्ट्स ऑफ दैट कॉमन कॉज. सो यू हैव टू इवैल्यूएट दीज वेल. अच्छा, सबने आंसर भी करना शुरू कर दिया. लेट्स सी व्हाट यू से. यस, आंसर. ओके, so I've got E, D, what else? So Benton, you said D. What could be the common cause behind these two? Yes. Others also, please respond. Acha question. This is a good question. It's one of my favorite questions. I think I do it a lot of times with students. Okay, so a lot of you say E. Okay, and some of you are just not responding. So E versus D. That is the confusion in this question. Okay, students are able to eliminate A, B and C usually. Now statement 1 looks like the effect of 2. It looks like it, I agree. But tell me something. This is about majority of the youth employed in Haryana coming from other states. All right. And this is about the CM instructing Haryana state universities to revamp their curriculum to improve the students' employability. Right. So, that means you have made the assumption that majority of the youth employed in Haryana is coming from other states because the youth of Haryana is not employable. Isn't that your assumption? That because the youth of Haryana is not employable. So that's an assumption that you've made. अगर ये assumption सही है, then yes, definitely cause effect relationship है उधर. But isn't it possible that there is not a lot of youth in Haryana, let's say? That's also a possibility, no? That majority of the population of Haryana is elderly. That's why we need youth from other states. Possible, right? So this looks like an assumption. अगर ये true है तो हाँ, फिर तो ठीक है, ये cause effect है. Right? But it's not mentioned. Now see, on the other hand, so ये basically इसमें problem क्या है ना, in E being the answer, that this statement is about people from other states, whereas this statement concerns the people of Haryana. Actually, there could be a common cause behind this. The common cause behind this could be this only: the youth of Haryana is not employable. Now, if the youth of Haryana is not employable, then this will be the effect. Majority of the youth employed in Haryana comes from other states. Youth है, but उनके पास इतना skills नहीं है. And this is actually the immediate reason why the CM of Haryana would instruct specifically state universities. See, it's a very specific measure that the CM is taking. Specifically state universities को ही instruct करा जा रहा है to improve the curriculum, to improve the students' employability. You see, so that means इसका reason भी जो है वो बहुत specific होना चाहिए. to this. Okay, so this is a specific enough reason. Yes, currently the youth, the people, the students graduating, they are not employable. This is the direct effect of that, not this. Okay, the CM of Haryana would not really be bothered if the population of Haryana is primarily elderly. The CM of Haryana would be bothered by this. तो ये immediate cause है, ये immediate cause नहीं है. Common cause के दोनों effects हैं ये. Make sense? Okay, so AI, okay, now Suryansh, do this exercise. Just question it again. Just ask it, but does this look like a direct cause? And it will give you a different answer. That's the problem with DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Grok AI. जितने भी AI प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं, आप उनको एक बार काउंटर क्वेश्चन कर दो ना, वो अपना आंसर चेंज कर देते हैं a lot of times. So don't trust their answers. They can be good tools to create questions for yourselves, right? तो अगर आपको और questions चाहिए प्रैक्टिस के लिए, आप उनके थ्रू बना सकते हो, बट आंसर्स उनके हमेशा डाइसी होते हैं, right? So D is the answer here. I hope this makes sense to you. Statement 2 direct cause नहीं है because it is a statement about people coming from other states and not really about people of Haryana. Yes, are you sure? Yes, our answer change हो जाता है. Absolutely. Okay. Let's look at another question. Cause effect. Independent तो नहीं है. See, they are not. Okay, so Krishna is saying that they look independent. There is a common element to them, right? Employability, employment. We are talking about youth here. We are talking about students. Haryana. So common elements तो हैं. So it's not like they are independent. And also, how do you justify there being causes? What are they resulting in? What will they result in? What do you think? इज देर एनी इमीडिएट इफेक्ट एपरेंट? मुझे इसको देख के इमीडिएट कोई इफेक्ट एपरेंट नहीं लग रहा. यू नो वॉट, एंड दिस इज जस्ट अ हैक. सी इज यूजली रेयरली द आंसर. दिस इंडिपेंडेंट कॉजेज इज रेयरली द आंसर बिकॉज फॉर statements to be independent causes the examiner will have to really frame them in such a way कि उसकी immediate effects बिल्कुल apparently पता चलें student को. ऐसे statements frame करना difficult होता है. Okay? Look at this. Okay. Prajwal and Benton have answered. They say A. Suryansh says B. Suryansh, are we assuming something in answering B? Okay, Krishna says B. Tejas says B. Aren't you assuming in answering B that India is importing poultry from China? Perhaps. Okay, so this is a similar question. Again, this is a question that I practice a lot with students, so I thought to bring it. Again, remember, सारे questions ऐसे नहीं होते. बहुत सारे questions में answers A and D, E भी होता है, right? So ये मत सोच लेना कि हर किसी का आंसर common cause या ऐसे वाले ही होंगे. I have brought these two questions because they are slightly tricky और मुझे अच्छा लगता है practice करना. So bird flu has killed 20 people in China. See, again, this is talking about China and this is talking about India. So, and moreover, if you mark 1 is the cause, 2 is the effect, that means you are in a way assuming that वो China से ही probably import कर रहा है. So, A and E cannot be the answers here, right? Then, what is the answer? Of course, poultry and bird flu related भी हैं. Yes, it's not like the two statements are completely unrelated. So, this means, oh sorry, B and E cannot be the answers. That's what I meant to say. This means that related तो हैं दोनों. Okay, so can there be a common cause behind them? This should be your line of reasoning. डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड तो नहीं लग रहे पर बिल्कुल अनरिलेटेड भी नहीं है. सो कैन देर बी अ कॉमन कॉज बिहाइंड देम? यस. हु विल टेल मी, कैन देर बी अ कॉमन कॉज बिहाइंड देम दैट इज रिजल्टिंग इन बोथ ऑफ देम? आई जस्ट टोल्ड यू दैट ये तो रेयरली आंसर होता है. सॉरी, ये वाला रेयरली आंसर होता है, ऑप्शन डी. सो इट्स आइदर सी पर हैप्स. हे भगवान, क्या कह रही हूँ मैं? नो, आई जस्ट सेड कि सी रेयरली आंसर होता है, राइट? सो ए और डी आंसर हो सकते हैं. यस, ए वर्सेस डी है हमारा चॉइस. कैन देर बी अ कॉमन कॉज बिहाइंड देम? Bird flu spreading globally. Bird flu is spreading globally. So now it makes sense. See, who maybe India is not importing something from China. India is not importing poultry from China. But even if it is importing it from other countries and it is spreading globally, then it makes sense to ban it. Yeah. So there can be a common cause, right? The common cause is that because it is spreading globally, it has spread in China as well and it has killed 20 people there, right? And because it is spreading globally, that's why India has completely banned the import and consumption of poultry. Make sense? There could be a common cause behind it. D is the answer. Right? Make sense? Are you convinced or not? It's okay, we can debate about this. Okay, perfect. आपने मेरी बोलने की मेहनत बचा ली by being convinced. Good. So, here's a question. अच्छा अच्छा, okay. So Benton is saying he's not convinced. You think that the answer is A. Both are effects of independent causes. Usually, Benton, that is the answer when the two statements are completely unrelated. Okay, and you will find a lot of such questions. You know, a lot of them, cause effect questions are very easily available on the internet. Okay, so you will find a lot of them to be of this type, but you will feel कि ये तो बिल्कुल ही related नहीं है statements, तब ये answer होता है usually, right? That something else entirely is causing this, something else entirely is causing this. However, here we are talking about something that is related. Bird flu, it spreads when humans consume animals, right? So, uh, poultry, bird flu, इसका बात हो रहा है, right? Now, हावेवर सी अगेन, आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि अरे इंडिया तो अपनी खुद की प्रोडक्शन करता है तो ये तो फैक्ट ही रॉन्ग है. यू डोंट हैव टू क्वेश्चन द फैक्चुअलिटी ऑफ इट, दैट यू नो वेदर इट इज़ ट्रू और फॉल्स. ये हमारा क्वेश्चन नहीं है यहाँ पर कि आप बोल दो कि इंडिया तो लोकली प्रोड्यूस करता है, राइट? द क्वेश्चन इज, डू दे अपीयर रिलेटेड? येस, दे अपीयर रिलेटेड, बट दे डोंट अपीयर रिलेटेड इनफ टू बी द डायरेक्ट कॉज एंड इफेक्ट. दैट्स द प्रॉब्लम. ओके, मेक सेंस, बेंटन? All right. Perfect. So, now I have a critical reasoning question for you. Okay, it's an inference question. The question, and this is based on a past year question, so it's a memory based previous year question of Mhcet. Immediate previous year का नहीं है, but previous year का है. So it even defines what an inference is, right? So read this definition, read this. What I want to show you through this is that sometimes reading it can be, you know, you may feel that this is dense. Reading it can take time, but usually in Mhcet, the level of the question is quite easy. राइट? सो पढ़ो और मुझे बताओ क्या आंसर होना चाहिए. यस. Okay. Take your time. I've got one response already. Okay, Krishna says E. All right. Benton has asked a very good question. So, should we skip this kind of question because it is time consuming? That depends on, let's say, which areas are your strength, which areas are your weaknesses. So, if you feel that, let's say, you're stronger in logical reasoning, yeah, you're stronger in quant, and this is something that is going to take a lot of time for you to process, then yes, by all means, be smart, go for a good question selection. However, if English is your strong area, then question difficult बिल्कुल भी नहीं है, right? It is talking about, sorry, DKA, right? So it may appear कि ये थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल है, ये तो साइंस बेस्ड है, बट क्वेश्चन डिफिकल्ट नहीं है, राइट? तो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन विच एरियाज आर योर स्ट्रॉन्ग एरियाज. ओके, ओके, जस्ट टू रिस्पॉन्सेज. व्हाट अबाउट अदर्स? सब सो गए अब, कोई पढ़ने की भी वो नहीं कर रहा है. नोबडी इज मेकिंग द एफर्ट, इज इट? Okay, three responses I've got, all of them say E. So, whenever I get unanimous responses, basically everybody giving me the same answer, that is an indication that the question is easy. And it is here. And you're absolutely right. E is the answer. This is so extreme that, a diet rich in DKA assures no chance, assures, ये तो guarantee देने की बात कर रहा है, assures no chance of developing brain disabilities or disorders. My paragraph has said nothing of the sort. Unless and until my paragraph says something so extreme, the conclusion cannot be that extreme. So, 2 is eliminated, only 1 can be inferred. All right. Makes sense? Any query? Ask me. There's another question based on this very paragraph coming your way on the next slide. Okay, so this was a set. So this is the second question of the set. Which of the following facts will contradict any part of the given information? Basically, आपको weaken करना है, right? So tell me what the answer will be. Apurva has answered the fastest. Good. Others? What about others? I've specially included these questions for you. Okay. One more response I need. Excellent. Again, bilkul correct answer hai. B is the answer, because here I'm saying, in a way, I'm saying, DKA is not that important for memory. That's what I'm establishing through option B. Whereas my paragraph was saying that it is important for cognitive function, visual acuity, mental development, right? So I am attacking this right away. I am attacking this right away when I mark B as the answer. So absolutely, that's what I had to do. मुझे attack ही करना था. B answer है. Any query in this? Anybody who thought some other option should be the answer? LMA has not been discussed, तो A तो नहीं हो सकता आंसर. This is about fish. We talked about non-human primates, right? तो fish की again discussion external हो गई. I think nobody's confused here. If you are, you can ask me. Otherwise, let's proceed. Oh, okay, this was the last question for the day. I thought we have more questions. Right. So in this class, we talked about cause effect. I think assertion reason was a relatively new question type for you. Statement assumptions, Sharvari ma'am has discussed with you in a critical reasoning session. So I would recommend that you go and watch that. And then we discussed strong weak arguments, which is something that students are usually confused in. And we discussed course of action, which appeared last year and which is a common question type. Right? So, this is what we discussed today. I hope this session helped you, and you can tell me what you want me to discuss next. We have 2 more workshops, right, before your exam. So, you can always tell me what you would want to discuss. This is it from my side for today. And those of you who attend my editorial analysis sessions, I will meet you again at 6 p.m. today on the Rodha portal. Right? Cause and effect, you're saying. Okay, cause effect we'll include. Somebody said parajumbles also last time, so I'll try to include them as well. Okay. All right then. I'll see you next time. Bye. Tips for RCs. What I'll do is maybe I'll conduct a workshop that will include RCs and PJs. एक वर्कशॉप में ये दोनों कर लेंगे, ठीक है, और एक वर्कशॉप में हम इसको एड्रेस कर लेंगे along with of course some other topic, grammar perhaps, right? So don't worry. Okay, bye. Welcome.